The ceremony will begin in 1 minute. Please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the change of command of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, New York District. Colonel David Caldwell will be relinquishing command to Colonel Thomas D. Asbury. The presiding officer for today's ceremony is Brigadier General William Graham, Commander, North Atlantic Division. On behalf of the Corps of Engineers, New York District, thank you for joining us today. In a moment, I will ask you to stand for the arrival of the official party, for the playing of the national anthem and the invocation. In keeping with the honor and distinction of the ceremony, please turn off all cell phones and other electronic devices. At this time, we would like to welcome our distinguished visitors, the Caldwell family, the Asbury family, Mr. Zach McHugh from the Office of United States Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey, Mr. William Doyle, Office of Congressman Lee Zeldin, New York 1st District, Mr. Thomas Harnedy, Acting Regional Director of Programs, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, North Atlantic Division, Mr. John Primavera, Acting Regional Director of Business Management Division and Chief of Business Resource Division for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, North Atlantic Division, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Bliss, Commander, Philadelphia District. District would also like to welcome Colonel Peter Sicoli, Commander, U.S. Army Garrison, Fort Hamilton, Brooklyn, New York. And our distinguished federal partners, Captain Byron L. Black, Chief of Prevention of the U.S. Coast Guard 1st District from Boston, Ms. Catherine McCabe, Acting Regional Administrator for Region 2, U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, Mr. John Rabin, Acting FEMA Region 2 Regional Director, our distinguished non-federal partners, Mr. David Rosenblatt, Assistant Commissioner for the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, Mr. Stephen Zahn, Regional Director for the Region 2 for the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, Ms. Molly Campbell, Director, Port Commerce Department, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Ms. Catherine Sheridan, Chief Engineer for the New York State Thruway Authority Canal Corporation, Mr. Daniel Zarilli, Senior Director, Climate Policy and Programs, Chief Resilience Officer for the New York City Office of the Mayor, Mr. Liam Cavanaugh, First Deputy Commissioner, New York City Department of Parks and Recreation, Captain James D. Simone, Chief Operations Officer, Staten Island Ferry for the New York City Department of Transportation. Providing today's ceremonial music is the United States Military Academy Brass Quintet. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party, playing of the national anthem, and the invocation. The members of the official party are Commander of the North Atlantic Division, Brigadier General William H. Graham, the outgoing Commander, Colonel David A. Caldwell, the incoming Commander, Colonel Thomas D. Asbury, and Mr. Joseph J. Seabood, the Deputy District Engineer of the New York District. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for Fort Hamilton Chaplain Donald W. Erkey, who will deliver today's invocation.
Let us pray. Dear Almighty God, we pray that you would bless this gathering as we prepare to carry out a change of command. We thank you for the honorable dedication and achievements of Colonel Caldwell. We praise you for providing him with an added measure of your wisdom, discernment, and candor, and for surrounding him with good counsel. More, we are grateful for the faithful manner in which he performed every undertaking and the accomplishments that he brought to those he led. We pray for his continued success and well-being of his family under your care, and ask that the same measure of grace be granted to Colonel Asbury. Bless his work here and bestow upon him your insight and providence, that he may do that which is pleasing and upright in your sight. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. I ask that you direct your attention to the front row as members of the district team make a special presentation to the Caldwell and Asbury families. In a tradition symbolizing the appreciation of the support and contributions made by loved ones, Ms. Lynn Bocamazzo is now presenting a bouquet of red roses to Mrs. Valerie Caldwell, and bouquets of flowers to Mrs. Lois Caldwell and Mrs. Valerie Haig. welcome the Asbury family to the New York District, Miss Lisa Asim is now presenting Miss Carla Asbury a bouquet of yellow roses and bouquets of flowers to Miss Kelsey Asbury and Miss Katie Asbury. Ladies and gentlemen, in keeping with the long-standing New York District tradition, the outgoing commander will now accept the salute from the New York and New Jersey Harbor Fleet. The official party will now move into position for the change of command. The military change of command ceremony goes back to the beginning of our nation's history and provides for the orderly transfer of organizational responsibility. The passing of a unit's colors is a symbolic act through which the outgoing commander relinquishes authority to his superior, who in turn passes the authority on to the incoming commander. The very heart of a unit is symbolized by the colors under which its troops have served. The colors stand as a reminder of past glories and traditions, inspire present endeavors, and provide a guiding beacon into the future. Tradition holds that the colors lead the unit into battle. As an organization is symbolized by its colors, the act of passing the colors from Colonel Caldwell to Colonel Asbury represents the passing of responsibility from one to the other. Throughout history, commanders have ensured that their colors were carried by one of the most trusted soldiers who had proven himself in battle. However, the United States Army Corps of Engineers is a unique partnership between its military and civilian team members. Today, therefore, the honor of bearing the colors is given to our Deputy District Engineer, Mr. Joseph Seabode, who represents the district's civilian workforce. Mr. Seabode will pass the colors to the outgoing commander and receive them again at the conclusion of the ceremony. The official passing of the colors will now begin. Mr. Seabode will pass the colors to Colonel Caldwell, the outgoing commander. Colonel Caldwell will relinquish the colors to Brigadier General Graham, Commander, North Atlantic Division. Brigadier General Graham will entrust the colors to Colonel Asbury, the incoming commander. And Colonel Asbury will entrust the colors to Mr. Seabode for safekeeping. Authority of Army Regulation 600-20, the undersigned assumes command of the New York District of the United States Army Corps of Engineers, effective 8 June 2017. Signed, Thomas D. Asbury, Colonel, Engineer, Commanding. Arctic Division, Brigadier General William Graham.
That was pretty amazing, wasn't it? Absolutely phenomenal. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, certainly members of the storied New York District, good morning, and thank you all for being here today. First off, I want to start this by thanking the National Park Service and the City of New York for the wonderful stewardship of this storied island. I think Colonel Caldwell is going to go into a little detail. That podium's behind us here, but the Army's got a rich legacy out here on this island and all the coastal fortifications that used to guard New York Harbor, to include Fort Hamilton. And we're so very proud to have them entrusted to these two wonderful organizations. Certainly want to thank the West Point Brass Quintet. Did I get that right? That was absolutely phenomenal. And thank you for making that long, hard trek to get down here today. And putting on a ceremony like this is no easy feat. So for all the people that worked really hard in the background to make this as seamless as it's been, I want to thank you all for just a magnificent job. So before I start talking about the commanders, I'd like to take a minute and talk about the district. We'll start with the mission of the Corps of Engineers is to deliver vital public and military engineering services, partnering in peace and war in the four areas of strengthening our national security, supporting the economy, and nowhere is that more so here in this magnificent port, restoring the environment, also nowhere is that more important than in this magnificent estuary, and reducing the risk from disasters. And you only have to look across the channel at the battery to understand how important that is. In executing these four missions, the New York District has been simply superb. Professionalism, talents, dedication of the district's 575 odd employees is absolutely second to none. I'm amazed, I'm simply amazed at the scope and scale of the work that this hardworking district delivers to the citizens and the warfighters that they support. A few very brief examples. The district serves approximately 25 million people in one of the most densely populated areas of the nation. They maintain 550 miles of federal channel, like that behind us, including 21 deep draft harbors and 61 shallow draft channels. And I'd get yelled at if I also didn't mention the one lock and dam. They provide military construction to 8 Army and Air Force installations. They provide leasing support to over 500 Armed Forces recruiting stations. And in this magnificent all-volunteer Army, it starts right there. And the iconic Times Square recruiting station is certainly the crown jewel in that portfolio. And they work at various Superfund sites to improve the environment, public health, and safety. And I could keep going on all afternoon, but I think you get the idea of just what this magnificent organization does. I'm in my third year of having the privilege of living in this amazing city, and I'm always struck by the phenomenal patriotism and sense of duty exemplified by the people that live here. I think you kind of saw that by the fireboat joining us here today, sailing with the Corps' fleet. Nowhere is that sense of duty better exemplified than the many district team members who have deployed far from home to support warfighting operations overseas or disaster response and recovery operations with our FEMA partners elsewhere in the United States. So I just want to take a minute for everybody in the district who's deployed overseas with the support of a FEMA organization. And Juan, you're back there somewhere, I know you are. Stand up and accept our thanks. There you go. So Officiating a change of command ceremonies is always a bittersweet time. Saying farewell to a proven leader and a trusted teammate is never easy. However, the enthusiasm, drive, and fresh perspectives that a new leader brings is energizing and ultimately beneficial to all. So the hard part. Saying farewell to Colonel David Caldwell. When you meet Dave, you quickly come to the conclusion that he's an engineer's engineer. He has an insatiable inquisitiveness to understand how things work. Be that the lock gates up at Troy Lock and Dam, a unique weapon system test facility out at Picatinny Arsenal, or a coastal storm risk management project somewhere on the Jersey Shore. This professional curiosity is what separates great engineers from good engineers, and is one reason why Dave Caldwell is such an effective leader. So a few examples of what this district's accomplished under Dave's stewardship, what they've delivered. Up at West Point, just up the Hudson here, the district completed the Science Center renovation. Building new buildings is hard. Renovating old buildings is really, really hard. And just last month, the district completed Davis Barracks, the first new barracks at West Point in over 50 years. A simply magnificent project that's going to serve this nation literally for centuries to come. Up at Thule Air Force Base, Greenland. Yes, the district does the work up at Thule Air Force Base in Greenland. And Thule Air Force Base is 750 miles above the Arctic Circle. So when they look at the northern lights, they have to look south. They completed a $23 million repaving of the runway in this unbelievably challenging permafrost environment conditions. The runway is the only link to the outside world for 9 months out of the year when the ocean is iced up. That runway can never be shut down. So you can imagine the difficulty of repaving that thing while it's still in active use. A little closer to home, the district completed, this is pretty neat being here saying this, the $2.1 billion New York, New Jersey Harbor 50-foot deepening project. A key project to many in attendance here today, and a project that's absolutely vital to ensuring that this huge economic engine, known as the Port of New York and New Jersey, continues to hum in absolute top gear. The district made significant progress on the huge Hurricane Sandy recovery program. As a brief example, they completed the $28 million Seagate portion out at Coney Island, greatly increasing the resiliency and reducing the risk of Long Island from coastal storms. And they completed in the borough of Bound Brook a key part of the Green Brook Flood Risk Management Project across the way in New Jersey, a critical project that reduces the risk of floods in an area that Governor Christie called one of the most flood-prone communities in New Jersey. That's the kind of amazing stuff that this district accomplished under Colonel Caldwell's watch. However, looking back at Dave's accomplishments, I think his greatest legacy is not going to be evident for many, many years to come. The discipline, the rigor that he demanded from the Corps' ongoing planning studies will ensure that we deliver timely, well-engineered reports on where the nation should invest its precious public funds to best restore the environment and reduce the risk to the public from floods and coastal storms. All these amazing projects that we do have to start with some hard studies and hard engineering, and that's just challenging, difficult work. And Dave, the groundwork that you set and the assistance that you gave to make sure that the Corps of Engineers is heading in the right direction has been simply magnificent. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you for that. Having said all those nice things about Dave, the people I really need to thank for all that great work that Dave did, are his family. His father, Reverend James Caldwell, and his mother Lois, thank you for the amazing son that you raised and let us borrow these last 2 years. We're just unbelievably proud of what he's accomplished. Those in-laws, thank you for joining us here today. And his sister's out there somewhere. Did your brother make it across the ferry? He made it there as well. All right. So thank you all for being here today. And a man of that character doesn't come without a family of tremendous character. So thank you all for the son you raised. Probably most importantly, well, certainly most importantly, to Dave's wife, Valerie, who Jen and I have known for a long, long time. No mere words of thanks will do justice to the debt of gratitude that the Army and the nation owe you for your unwavering support of Dave's long career. This is made even ever so more poignant by the fact that Wednesday next, Dave will be in Afghanistan. When General Semonite asked me a few months ago who I thought of all the colonels in the Engineer Regiment should take over this critical job of helping the Afghan Army and police force in Afghanistan take care of their facilities, make sure they had the right facilities to protect themselves and to protect their citizens from, I didn't hesitate for a moment. Dave Caldwell was the engineer to take on that incredibly demanding assignment. So Dave, we wish you Godspeed and safety and success. And please know, as you deploy, that all 3,000 of us here in NAD are at your beck and call to support your mission over there or to support your family here at home. Thank you for a job amazingly well done. So now the easier part. Welcoming a new commander. Dave's a staff officer now. Tom's the commander. It's amazing how quick that happens. So it's a daunting task to replace a commander of Colonel Caldwell's stature. But there's a long line of colonels that used to command the New York District that made the trek out here to Governor's Island. Proof positive that this nation has a true genius for producing outstanding leaders. And Colonel Tom Asbury is uniquely situated to take over where Dave left off. First off, as you can see by Tom's bio, he's a warrior, having served in many storied combat engineer units in the U.S. and overseas. Well put. He also has extensive experience within the Corps of Engineers, more so than most engineer officers. This wealth of experience is why he's here today commanding this demanding district. Tom recently redeployed from a year-long deployment to Kuwait and Iraq with the Corps' Transatlantic Division, where he led many critical engineering initiatives to help the Baghdad government secure its borders and defeat ISIS. From stabilizing the Mosul Dam to ensuring that the coalition forces had the bases and airfields that they needed, their accomplishments were simply remarkable. Trust me, Tom, Tad did not want to let you go. Before that, he was the Deputy Division Commander out in Hawaii, a slightly warmer island than this one, for the Pacific Ocean Division. I worked with him when he was in that capacity when I was the Corps' Chief of Staff, and amongst the headquarters staff, and it's a hard-bitten group up there, Tom quickly won them over. He earned a reputation up there as a proactive, innovative leader who understands how the Corps of Engineers works. And that's no small feat. He learned much of this when he was the commander of the Honolulu district. And you're sitting there going, wait, he's been in Honolulu, stayed out in Hawaii, he gets to New York. Whatever he's doing it right. So like Colonel Caldwell, when he came here, this is Tom's second district command. Because that is what this mission calls for. The demands of the mission supporting 23 million people demand a commander with Tom's experience. And that's what the Corps of Engineers is delivering to the New York District here today. Even better for me, he's no stranger to the North Atlantic Division, as he served in Incirlik Air Base in Turkey and in Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany as a project engineer a resident engineer, an area engineer, a program manager, and a Ford engineering support team leader for the Europe District, which falls under this command. And I think during that time, he was able to take us a few side trips down to Iraq leading that fest team. So for all the project managers and project engineers out there who are squirming in their seats right now, yeah, your boss has done your job. So as you can see, it's no accident in that Tom's here today commanding this critically important district. But much of the credit for the person that he is today certainly goes to his family. His father, retired Marine Master Gunnery Sergeant, Mr. John Asbury. Did I get that right, sir? Okay, I wanted to make sure I got that right. Sir, thank you very much for raising such an amazing son. And finally, we want to welcome Tom's wife, Carla, and his two really tall daughters, Kelsey and Katie, into the North Atlantic Division family. I've got room in our volleyball team anytime that anybody wants. I got to give the garrison at Fort Hamilton a run for its money, so I got some wingers on board now. Jen and I look forward to serving with you together in the years to come. So in closing, the colors have passed, and back under the amazing stewardship of Mr. Joe Sebo, and the New York District stands ready to continue its storied history of service to this nation. Building strong, Army strong.
Ladies and gentlemen, our departing commander, Colonel David Caldwell.
This is hard. Okay, but honored guests, family, friends, ladies and gentlemen, again, thanks to the band, thanks to the Color Guard, and a special thanks to the National Park Service and Trust for working with us and putting on this great event. It's a phenomenal venue. The many district employees who help set this up, a lot of planning goes into an event like this. A little easier to do if it's just around the block. It's a lot harder to do when it's on an island and you have to use ferries and things. And especially Florence Mack is the project manager who took this on and helped arrange this. My sincere thanks for such a great send-off and a great ceremony. Thank you. So I can't believe we're here at Governor's Island and 2 years is up already. Exactly 2 years ago, it stood about 20 yards that way. I had to move the site. But it stood right over there on the other side of the colors where Tom was today, receiving them and assumed command. And today I relinquish this great responsibility and honor. And I realized leading up to today, there's a reason why you hand the colors off to your boss and not directly to your replacement. Because if it were the latter, I probably wouldn't have let go, and Tom would have had to wrestle, and it would have been ugly in front of everybody. So you can't get away with that when you have to hand them to your boss. So, sir, thanks for officiating today's ceremony. I think we've known each other now for about 23 years. And if I were to part the Army today, I would be able to say that I worked for one of the Army's and the Corps of Engineers' best commanders on both ends of my career. And I truly appreciate that. Thank you for your many years of wisdom and guidance, and especially for giving me room to command when we're only 10 miles separated with our headquarters, even though that could take well over an hour on most New York City days. But your leadership for North Atlantic Division is exactly what we needed, and you were certainly the right person, and I've personally continued to grow and learn as a result of your leadership, so thank you very much. And I must certainly thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for placing me here in New York City and New Jersey. When I arrived, I was intimidated by the enormity of New York City, the enormity of our mission, and of course, the enormity of the commute. And you can't always understand how things will play out, but there's no doubt in my mind that I was here for many reasons, and that I am thankful for that, including that Valerie will be in good hands as I deploy. My wife Valerie is my greatest supporter, my confidant, my best friend, and the sounding board that keeps me straight. Thanks for your unwavering support, and not just allowing me the freedom to put the time into command the way I wanted, but encouraging me to do so. You're the best wife anyone could ask for. I have my parents, my in-laws, my brother and sister-in-law from Florida, and one of my sisters from New Mexico here today. and one of my uncles, as well as many close friends. Thanks for taking the time to travel here. It really means a lot that you're here and participating with us today as well. I've had the best co-workers within the region and the district. I've had the privilege to work with the finest fellow commanders anybody could ask for. People like Mike Bliss, who's here today from Philadelphia District, and certainly some of the great regional leaders, Mr. Leach, Tom Hardy, John Primavera. Thank you for the wisdom and guidance to help guide this region and guide the districts, and from time to time pull me off the ledge. I must also thank the New York District Corporate Board. Joe, you're the best CPN I've ever seen and worked with, and you're also a great friend. I hope you win the Sammy Award, because you certainly deserve it. It's a national level award for federal employees that Joe's the finalist for. And I'd be remiss if I didn't clear the air once and for all. Joe did not break my collarbone back in the fall. He's not a sore loser. But he did motivate me to get back on the court, so I guess you still have some culpability and all that. For Mike, Cliff, Tom, Dean, Rich, Lorraine, and Frank, other corporate board members, thank you for the dedicated and caring leadership that you've used to help guide this district with. The district accomplished many great things, primarily because of your willingness to work together and find solutions to the hardest problems. And then were my deputy commanders, of which I had 4, because evidently I was driving them all to retirement and to move on. Lieutenant Colonel John Knight, he set me up for success and modeled employee engagement. Major retired James Curley, who's here today, you were definitely the right man at the right time, and your positive can-do attitude is infectious. It still resonates in the district today. Lieutenant Colonel Rich Gusanovan was phenomenal in the short time he was at the district, and then he got deployed to Afghanistan. He'll be coming back, and Tom, you won't be able to ask for a better military deputy than Rich. And of course, Larry Mazzola, who stepped up as a civilian to backfill Rich when he deployed. And he's been filling that role since November, and doing it so with flying colors through the hiring freeze, personnel shortfalls, and other challenges. Thank you to all the deputies. I also would like to thank Lou Bernard, the district's XA, who was been out sick and she just came back to work this past week. But she did many great things to take care of me and the district as well. And of course, I have to thank my 2 secretaries that I've had while I've been here, both Ann and Rebecca. Thanks for all you did for the district, and especially me, whether it was arranging travel or the monumental task of keeping my calendar straight, or worse yet, just trying to keep me on time and get to the next meeting where I'm supposed to be. I certainly couldn't have done this job without you. Rebecca, I'll miss the smile and the comments about someone asking me to adjust my schedule for a meeting like, who does he think he is? You're a busy person. And I get those comments every day, and she'd say it with a smile, and we roll on. You were a great pleasure to work with. Thank you. The district's relationships have continued to grow with many partners, whether the federal family and the interagency collaborative that includes the National Park Service, FEMA, Department of Transportation, HUD, EPA, the FAA, the USDA, NRCS, and others such as GSA, or partners like the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, New York State, DEC, New York City, DEP, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. The list could go on and on. We've spent many hours trying to move key projects and our programs forward in the right direction in order to make a difference to the people who depend on these things, and we've accomplished just that. It's been wonderful working with and getting to know you. And then there's the 45 congressional members. It's the most active politics I've ever seen at all levels of government. And it's truly been interesting to watch and be part of. I've truly enjoyed the ability to help inform and work with congressional members to get things done. One of the great things about being a district commander is that we at the lieutenant colonel or colonel level get to do what no other folks at that grade get to do in the Army, because we get to engage with how our nation works. And we get to walk the halls of Congress, and we get to see how the government really works, and it does work. It's democracy, and it's slow sometimes and frustrating, but it is really phenomenal to watch. And there's so many engaging and true gentlemen and ladies who care deeply about their constituents, and that's encouraging to see. There are a few staff members out here, and I thank you for attending as the members are in session today. The district turns 175 years old next year. It's one of the oldest districts in the Corps, and it certainly has remained relevant and brought value to our nation, the region, and the Army. And part of our lineage even predates the official foundation date for the district, and you're sitting right here today. Castle Williams behind you was built as a coastal fortification to protect New York City from British attack in the War of 1812. And that was not too long after the Revolutionary War, where the British occupied the city for over 10 years. In fact, if you look on our buttons, Tom's are my buttons, you'll see our buttons are different in the Corps of Engineers than other buttons in the rest of the Army. The rest of the Army just has an eagle on their button. The Corps of Engineers has a fortification and the sun rising over the horizon, and an eagle that looks a little bit like a duck on top. And that fortification is storied to be Castle Williams. And so we are sort of standing at the representation of what the Corps is. At the time, it was an innovative and transformative design to transform from the star-shaped forts of the previous century to a new type of fortification. Many believed it wouldn't work, and in fact, even to the point that they fired 3 test shots just to see if it would actually perform the way it was supposed to. And in the end, it did exactly as it was supposed to. The British sailed in, they looked at this fortification and the other 4 that made up the protection for New York City. They decided it was a bad idea to come back to New York City, so they sailed south, and it didn't work out so well for the nation's capital, but it worked out great for New York City. And we didn't have any conflict here as a result. But at the time, Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Williams, who was in charge of building this fort, and it's named after, he was the first superintendent of the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, and then was assigned here to build this, and then build the rest of the fortifications as well. And eventually he was a congressman. And I think if he were to come back and take a look at the New York district and all the things that the district employees do, he would be extremely proud. And he would know that the legacy has lived on in the district that we call the cradle of the Corps. The great employees of this district demonstrate many of the same traits day in and day out. They're innovative, always looking to the next, more modern approach. They're professional. They're known for their technical excellence and always focused on putting solutions in place and not just talking about them. To all of you, you have my thanks, as well as so many partners, stakeholders, citizens, and all the others that we support, and the military commanders out there. They are very thankful for all that you do. You've advanced many important studies and projects in a significant way, and there's too many to list them all. General Graham listed some, so I won't go over those, but the 50-foot harbor deepening was brought $800 million under budget. It's almost unheard of in the federal government, and it's because these employees put their creativity to work and figured out how to get things done. The work on the Sandy projects in New York and New Jersey, whether Coney Island, Port Monmouth, Long Beach, El Dorado, Lock Harbor, Fire Island, Union Beach, Montauk, projects around Newark. There have been some really tough discussions that have taken place, and in some cases, we've solved some problems that have lasted for over 50 years, and now we're putting solutions in the ground, and that's what the district is about. The result is the people are more protected, and will continue to have increased resiliency and protection in the near and far future. And everyone should be proud of all your efforts involved to make that happen. There's support to the national security at the installations across New York, New Jersey, and Greenland. And everything from soldier specialty care clinics to what General Graham mentioned earlier, the list just goes on and on and on. We have over 120 active projects, whether in design or construction, and that is truly amazing for only 500 people to manage. The survey team developed an in-house LiDAR kit that's being used elsewhere in USACE and setting the standard even within industry as far as what you can do with some of these new capabilities. And that is also being transferred to the warfighter. So even though it was developed in-house to support civil works, it's moving forward to the battlefield as well, which is truly incredible. The relationships continued by enhancing the Harbor Estuaries Program's efforts have been phenomenal, whether it's the Comprehensive Restoration Plan or the Hudson Raritan Estuary Study, which is looking to essentially start reversing 400 years of degradation here in this great harbor and estuary. These are so important and will enable success in years to come. And then, of course, we support other agencies like the VA or the National Cemetery Agency as a way of serving our great veterans. We support the National Park Service, GSA, New York City Department of Transportation, EPA, and others to advance the things that they need, whether it's security related or other measures and environmental remediation and things, to ensure that the people are taken care of. And I mention these things not to boast about what I did, but to highlight the great work and effort of the best district in the Corps. To the New York District employees, know that I am always grateful and proud of all the work you have done. I look forward to the success in the years to come. Didn't think I'd get that emotional. Tom, you'll certainly do well, and I'm jealous of what the next few years hold, because you will help lead the district to even bigger and better things. I'm sure of that. Congratulations on assuming this great command, and take some time to enjoy this assignment and all that it has to offer, whether it's the city or the people and relationships, and an offer to, encourage you to enjoy every moment as I did. As I depart the district and head to Afghanistan next week, I will forever be thankful for the opportunity I had to serve here, for serving with the outstanding public servants, both internal and external to the district, for being able to participate in meaningful work that provides great value to the nation, for the friends, co-workers, and partners that I've been able to get to know and learn from, and overall for how I've been blessed for these past 2 years. The New York District is the cradle of the Corps. Essay ons, Army strong, and may God bless America. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Commander of the New York District, Colonel Thomas Asbury.
Honorable and distinguished guests, fellow commanders, command sergeants majors, soldiers, friends, and families of the New York District, thank you all for taking time out of your incredibly busy schedules to join us here today for this wonderful and awesome ceremony. I'd be remiss if I just did not take another moment for a round of applause to recognize everyone that was responsible for today's ceremony. We've heard both General Graham, Colonel Caldwell, the huge accolades, everybody that put this together, everyone, Florence, absolutely impressed, and I always remember this. Thank you for making this day special, and the absolute attention to detail is just simply unmatched. Thank you. I am truly honored and humbled to be standing here today and to have been given this great privilege of commanding such an outstanding organization. General Graham, thank you. My wife, Carla, and I are truly blessed and thrilled about this incredible opportunity. We look forward to joining the New York District in the North Atlantic Division family and serving the people of New York and New Jersey and the surrounding communities. I certainly would not be standing here today if it were not for Carla and my two daughters, who have endured numerous moves, deployments, long hours, and a lot of goodbyes. Thank you, FaceTime, Insta, and Snapchat, for keeping us close over the last couple of years. Carla, you and the girls give me the strength and support to do what I love, which is being a soldier and to serve the Army, the Engineer Regiment, in our great nation, and now the New York District. Thank you all, and I love you. I would also like to recognize my family and special guests that made the trip from across the United States to be here, and as far as Kuwait. Your presence here today speaks volumes about our friendships and professional relationship we have shared over the years. Collectively, You all are responsible for the type of person and leader I am today. Thank you all for coming. Dad, I will always be grateful for growing up as the son of a Marine. You and Mom instilled in me the right values of loyalty, duty, and respect that has always guided me. Thank you, and I love you. Dave, you and the New York District Command Team, thank you for a first-class transition. Thank you all for going above and beyond to ensure that this transition went well. Dave, I wish you the best of luck. Stay safe as you head to your next assignment. Finally, and most importantly, to the members of the New York District team, you belong to the greatest district in the Corps of Engineers that possesses superb leadership, an outstanding workforce, and an impressive and distinguished history. Colonel Caldwell has done a phenomenal job leading you. I look forward to being your next commander. I am truly honored to be on your team and a member of one of the toughest, proudest, and most versatile districts in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. All orders and SOPs remain in effect. Building strong, SAIs.
On behalf of the New York District, we wish Colonel and Mrs. Caldwell continued success and Godspeed. We welcome Colonel and Mrs. Asbury and their daughters as they join the New York District. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Army song, the Engineer song, and the departure of the official party. party departs. welcome reception at the tent behind you near Castle Williams. Colonel Asbury will receive guests under the tent adjacent to the gazebo. Ushers are in position to guide you. Those wishing to see Colonel Caldwell should come down the center aisle toward the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending. This concludes today's